reopening roadmap. As a result, everyone in attendance in council chambers must adhere to council's COVID safety plan, which includes providing evidence of receiving 2 doses of recognised COVID-19 vaccine, QR code check-in, wearing a mask, social distancing and hand sanitising. The COVID safety plan allows for a maximum of 13 members of the public to be in attendance, which includes 3 media representatives. Any councillors or staff who are unvaccinated can request to join the council meeting via audio visual link, and unvaccinated members of the public can watch the live stream of the meeting. The council meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published online. To those present in the meeting today, by participating in this public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor and or the General Manager have the authority to pause the live stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory or otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Participants are advised they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour or commentary. I'll call for apologies, for which there is none. I'll ask Councillor Adams to say the prayer.
Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessings upon this council. Direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Can I ask Councillor Gallagher to do the Acknowledgement of Country?
I acknowledge the traditional owners upon the land upon which we meet and pay respect to those elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you, Councillor Gallagher. Councillors, we'll move to item 1A. We actually, under the new public health order, do not need to vote to allow councillors to join us via Zoom. So I will move to item 5, minutes for confirmation. Can I have a mover for the minutes? Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Cool. Councillor Clark, is there any debate? No debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Just can't see. If you can press the green button. Yeah, it's just that raising your hand, you think you're in the visual, but it's actually out of the way. So Councillor Nolan used the green button. If you could do that, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, councillors, we'll just move to disclosures of interest. Has any councillors got any disclosures of interest? For which there is none. We'll move to item 7, Merrill Minute, for which there is none. Item 8, notice of motion, for which there is none. Item 9, rescission motions, for which there is none. At this stage, Councillor Brown has indicated she has a motion as a matter of urgency.
Thank you,
Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to
move your microphone down a little bit. That's it.
Okay. My motion relates to the late.
What's your point of order, councillor?
That's not the advice that I've received.
It's not the advice we have, councillor. I'll refer to the General Manager. I'll seek the advice from the General Manager. If you could just allow him some time. Thank you. And thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Kennedy, you might want to mute your. Mr. General Manager.
Thanks. Thanks, Madam Mayor. Under the Council's Code of Meeting Practice, the chairperson rules the matter to be of great urgency. It doesn't have to be after all matters are dealt with under our current model code.
Thank you, councillors. So, Councillor Brown, your matter of urgency. What's your point of order, councillor? The General Manager has given me advice and that is written on the Code of Practice. Thank you very much, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Brown.
Yes, Madam Mayor, my motion relates to the latest bulletin from the Electoral Commissioner relating to the conditions to conduct the pre-poll and polling day. My motion is that correspondence be sent to the Electoral Commissioner, the Minister for Health and the Member for Barwon, objecting to the recently announced 100-metre rule, which will affect the distribution. Sorry, Lisa. Of campaign material during the pre-poll period and election day on the grounds that this will hinder the democratic right of candidates to present information to voters and is a disproportional response to health risks given the COVID roadmap conditions which will apply after December 1.
Councillor Brown, I'll accept this motion as I believe that all councillors in the community of Broken Hill, not only the community of Broken Hill, but New South Wales would agree with your concerns. Do I have a seconder? Seconder, Councillor Clark. Oh, sorry, I could see your tick up there, Councillor Nolan. So if you could clear it, I'll take Councillor Nolan had second that. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak to your motion?
No, Madam Mayor, I think it's fairly self-explanatory. I think anyone who's read that latest bulletin, I believe that the urgency comes from the fact that pre-poll will actually start before our next council meeting, when we will in fact be in caretaker mode, and I don't want to risk taking an action that might compromise that. And I think it is. I think it seems to me that this is an excessive reaction. It doesn't appear to be related to health advice at all. It just seems to be a way for the Electoral Commission to clear out, nuisance people handing out how to votes close to the pre-poll. And I think, to me, it's unworkable. It's not only the pre-poll, where the pre-poll voting will take place, but when you think of the reality of all of the other polling places in Broken Hill, 100 metres from that will be around the corner, and it's just quite ludicrous.
Thank you. Is there any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cook, Councillor Nolan, Councillor Elgate, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams-Mayor Turley, and Councillor Kennedy. Thank you. Councillor Brown, that motion has been carried unanimous and of great concern, especially for our elderly community. I'll now move to item 10, reports from delegates, for which there is none. I'll now move to reports. Item 1, Broken Hill City Council report number 169/21 dated October 12th at page 18. This is More Than Mining campaign. Councillor Nolan, you're moving that way. Seconder. Okay, seconder. Oops, sorry, I should have turned that off.
I'll second that
Sorry.
one, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Gallagher. Councillor Nolan, do you want to speak to this motion? Thank you, Councillor Nolan. Any speakers against? No speakers against. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Nolan, Councillor Allgate, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Turley. Against? Oh, Councillor Kennedy, you voted for it. Good. Councillor Kennedy voted for it. A great results, Councillor. Very happy it's unanimous. Oh, okay. No, you need to put your button up first. Just try and do your green button a bit faster. So very happy with that. I'm Vice Chair of the Australian Mining Cities Alliance. It's a great project we're working on to look at housing in mining towns, particularly our community. I'll now move to item 2, Broken Hill City Council report number 170/21. The budget carryover for 2021-22, page 25. Do I have a mover?
I'll move that, Madam Mayor.
Sorry, Councillor LaCour moved it. Sorry, what was that, Councillor?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Allgate.
I'd like to ask some questions as well.
Yep, I'll just see if Councillor LaCour wants to speak to the motion.
Madam Mayor, it's as it says in the report, it's not that we're voting for these carryovers, it's just that this work is still ongoing. And I've got to say, you look at that list, and if you want to ask council what they're doing for this community, just point to that list. There's a stack load of work going on by this council for our community. And it's great to see one of my favourite projects there, number 2, the Sturt Park skate park. So that's great to
You
see
said a
this.
skate park?
The skate park,
Yep.
the Sturt Park, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Allgate, you had a question?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. Again, I'll repeat the concern that I have and have had for some time. I think that the Mayor and I would think Councillor Brown would have been aware of the fact of how much criticism this council came into for having carryovers of 2 and 3 million. There were 3 consecutive occasions that the auditors and the Department of Local Government criticised the council for having such carryovers. Now, I don't know what's happened in the time since then to now, but now $38 million seems to be fine. So that doesn't sit comfortably with me. But I have a few questions. And the first one is point 2 there that the $38 million carryover, can the general manager or the finance manager tell me, is that $38 million, do we hold that in cash and we're carrying it over? Or is that $38 million made up partly of grants that we've already received and partly of an expected amount of money that we hope we will receive?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Holgate. It's a mixture. So it's amounts that we do hold in cash that will form part of our external restrictions of grant funding or internal restrictions for capital works. There is some grants there that we have been successful in. One which we can highlight being the Cultural Precinct Library and Archive. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, we were successful with that federal government grant funding, which we're carrying over, but we're yet to receive that money, but we will receive it. So it is a mixture. And basically now that we have received that federal grant funding for the library, there's no grant funding expected to be received in this carryover list. It's either cash that we are holding or grant funds yet that we will receive as progress payments. And the final one there is the multiple roof replacement for the hailstorm, which will be reimbursed from our insurance company upon completion of the work. So it is a mixture, but it's either cash we are holding or grant funding that is confirmed but yet to be received. Thank you.
Can I just following on from that?
Yep.
Is the 24 million that's mentioned further in the report, is that the amount of cash we hold in terms of the grants?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Are you referring to the quarterly budget review statement?
Pardon?
You're referring to the
Yes,
cash in there?
yes,
Yes, that's our cash holdings.
That's your cash holding.
Yes.
So we're still waiting for 14 million.
Yes, that's correct, Councillor Holgate.
When we normally get 7 or 8 million a year, we're now waiting for 14 next year. We were waiting for 37 million last year. You know, I just find it a concern when you budget for money that you might get or you might not get. In fact, when last year, when the budget was for 38 million, when compared to previous budgets, that figure was absolutely laughable, because I think the highest annual budget, annual grants in total were something like 9 million. That's the maximum we had received up until last year. And then all of a sudden we go from 9 million to 38 million, and we produce this budget report that basically says we're going to do $38 million worth of work, providing we get the money. And there's a big question mark whether we get the money or not. It's telling the people that understand the budget, and I don't, because the way it's a great report, but it's made difficult, I think, maybe easy for an accountant to read, difficult for a layperson to read. But I don't think, this is my own opinion, I don't think we should be including monies in the budget that we know that are not proven, 100% proven. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any speakers? I think I'll take that as a question. Any speakers against? Councillor Kennedy, you speaking against? What's your amendment, Councillor? But I'm sorry, just give me a second. What's your amendment, Councillor? What's your question, Councillor? How about we deal with your motion first, because I've got just you moving something. So how about we deal with it? We'll get your amendment And then I'll get a seconder. What's your amendment, councillor? Yep. It's Councillor, do you have a seconder?
I'll second that. Happy
Second
to.
by councillor Allgate. Councillor Kennedy, want to, wait, I'll just make sure Lisa's got it. You're okay, Lisa. Councillor Kennedy, do you want to speak to your motion? Councillor Kennedy, you're actually at a council meeting, not running a campaign. Can you please address your debate? Well, you know, you also understand because you do a little bit of reading, but you understand that the public forum is a public forum and has requirements under the Office of Local Government. And you understand those requirements. So you just continue on, councillor. It's not a public question time. Continue on, councillor. Do you want to have a debate? Just continue on your debate, councillor. Thank you. Thank you,
I
councillor.
have a question, Madam Mayor.
Question.
Councillor, the Deputy Mayor, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I'd just like to know, I think the answer is obvious. A lot of these projects that are being carried over would have something to the COVID situation has a lot to do with that, hasn't it?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, yes, certainly. All the projects here, as per the report, which is why they're being asked for notation rather than a revote, have all started, are all underway. And it's either that the final progress payment needs to happen at the completion of the project and or the project has been slightly delayed due to COVID.
So the money that we're waiting for will be paid when we complete the progress at each stage. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Clark, you had a question?
No, Madam Mayor, I was only going to ask about that funding there, that in fact all these projects have in fact been commenced, so we don't have to have a revote, and the funding has been in reserves.
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, the funding is in reserves, and as per one of my previous comments, the way funding models and funding agreements work with the state and federal government is that they're on progress payments. So they'll pay you a certain percentage up front, and then they won't pay you any more until you actually hit those milestones. And until you hit those final milestones, you won't receive that final progress payment, which sometimes can be 25 to 50% of the funding amount.
Just a further question then to the General Manager. We won't be struggling to look for funds or to try and find funds. They are actually in reserves.
They're funded. Is that the question?
It's
Yes.
funded.
Mr. General Manager.
So I'm just asking because the amendment seems to hang on the fact that people, that the future council is going to be struggling to try to find money and make decisions about these projects. However, the projects have already been voted on, they've already been commenced, they're funded.
Mr. General Manager.
Madam Mayor.
Sorry, we've got a question. I've got Mr. General Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, that's correct. So it's not all in reserves because we're still yet to receive some of that money, but we will. But this is all being built into council's adopted long-term financial plan that you do at the end of June each year, and it's being built into. So any carryovers here have already been taken into account. Thank you.
Councillor Allgate, you had a question?
Yes, a question of through you, Madam Mayor, to the General Manager. General Manager said every one of these projects has already started. Every one.
Mr. General Manager.
Is that correct?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, in one way or the other. So whether that be construction and you're actually seeing physical work happening, or the design and the planning stages have commenced underway.
So just as a comment then, so we've started work on all these projects and yet $14 million of the funding is not proven.
No, I think the
Well,
General
that's-
Manager said,
The report says, if you read it, there's $14 million that hasn't been accounted for, it's not proven. In other words, we haven't got that money. We might have had an indication that that grant's going to come, but it's not guaranteed or proven the way I understand it. And if I'm wrong, the General Manager can tell me I'm wrong.
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, the understanding is, I don't want this to come across rudely, but yeah, I think there's probably misinterpretation there on some of it. So for instance, the Alma Oval and Soccer Grounds lighting upgrade, we received $1 million worth of drought funding. We received $250,000 of that up front. We actually had to expend $750,000 extra before they paid us the final milestone payment. So that will come at the end, but it is written into a grant agreement that we will receive that money at the completion of the project. So it is guaranteed money. It's just not sitting in our bank account until the completion of the project.
Thank you.
Further comment, Madam Mayor.
Question?
Reasonably sure that you're going to get it is not proven as far as I'm concerned. But if you look back to the previous year, we budgeted that there was going to be 37 or almost $38 million in government grants. We didn't get that amount of money, nowhere near it. And yet we're doing the same again this year. If what we've been told is we've started projects and we've got whatever to a certain stage, we're waiting for the money next year to finish the jobs off, providing the money is guaranteed.
No, my understanding, and the General Manager could clarify this, he said that the funding is guaranteed.
No, he said,
And he said that, and I'll get the General Manager to clarify this, that it is progress payments that they're waiting on. Mr. General Manager, is that correct?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, the funding is guaranteed for these projects. We've just got to actually complete the projects to receive it all. So we don't get the full grant funding sitting in our bank account to do the project. It comes along as we progress through the stages, but we are guaranteed the funding.
Well, before, with your due respects, General Manager, before you said you're reasonably sure that you'll get it. Now it's guaranteed.
Mr. General Manager, did you want to comment on that or take it on notice? Okay, thank you. I am going to ask for. Oh, sorry, I did look up there and I didn't see your hand. Sorry, Councillor Kennedy. What's your question? Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, we have the money to commence the stages of the library.
No, so can I just say, is it stage 1 of the library we can complete, Mr. General Manager?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Mayor.
Councillor, you're in debate. Councillor, you're in debate. Councillor Kennedy, you're in debate. The General Manager responded to you. He advised you that we have stage 1 funding there. Thank you, Councillor, for your question, not debate. So Councillor Kennedy has an amendment. Is there a speaker against the amendment? No speaker against the amendment. I'll put the amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate, all those against, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher, Deputy Mayor Adams and Mayor Turley. Thank you. The amendment's lost. I'll go back to Councillor McCool's motion. If there's no... Sorry, Councillor Kennedy, you're moving away from your mic. You're moving away from your microphone. I can't hear you. Thank you, Councillor Kennedy. Speak against the motion. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor LeCour, would you like to write a reply?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, we've heard a lot of discussion there, but the projects have started. It's very clear that we've all voted on these projects. The money has been allocated. The grant money has been secured. They're going ahead. People do want a new library. People I speak to want a new library. They want a cultural hub. They want something that'll take this city forward with its livability and improve the community assets, the facilities for everyone in this community. The skate park, they wanted a skate park, we consulted with people. All the projects regarding building, buying new equipment for the council staff. We've done that. The money has been allocated, the money is budgeted, the projects have started. I don't know where all this argument about what's going on. The next council, it'll be up to the next council, but these projects are well in train. You start a project with plans. You don't just start building something without having plans, and you have proper and concise and plans that'll work for you. That's all. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor LeCour. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Shirley, Councillor Nolan, sorry, and against Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Allgate. Motion carried. Now move to item 3, the Broken Hill City Council Report number 171/21, the quarterly budget review statement for the period ended in September 2021, page 31. Do I have a mover for this motion? Moved by Councillor Clark, seconder. Councillor Adams. Councillor Nolan and Councillor Kennedy, do you want to clear your buttons for voting? Oh, sorry. Thank you. Councillor
Question.
Clark, would you like to speak to the motion?
Ask the question when.
No,
That's
Councillor
appropriate.
Clark is to speak to the
when-
motion
When
first,
it's appropriate,
Councillor.
I said.
So the motion is being spoken to first. That's the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, this is a well-detailed report, and as I think we could all predict, COVID-19 and border closures have had an effect, certainly on reducing revenue from a number of services. And while we can see the items listed here are represented as costs, we can also see how we're going to benefit from the expenditure. I'm not going to mention everything. It's there for everybody to read, but I'd particularly like to point out the additional monies budgeted to employ 5 more trainees and apprentices. This is a wonderful employment opportunity. The $20,000 contribution to the More Than Mining campaign has already been spoken about. It's already been mentioned. And we know how important housing equity in rural and remote areas is, particularly in mining towns. The additional budgeted capital expenditure to improve pedestrian safety around schools, I think, is also greatly welcomed and will be greatly welcomed by the community. I think the Broken Hill community will also welcome the spend to implement the Civica community portal software, which will allow customers to lodge service requests, complaints, account inquiries, and make their payments online. And I understand that there will be publicity and education on its use in the near future. I also note the majority of performance indicators are positive, which gives a very pleasing indication that things are moving in the right direction, despite the few indications that COVID has had an adverse effect on council revenue. That's it, I think. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Speakers against the motion? Oh, Councillor Allgate, you had some questions?
Yeah, just, I'm not speaking against the report by any means, but I have a question, and it follows on from the previous questions that I asked. On item 4 of the recommendations, we've now got a projected capital budget expenditure of 48 million. My question is, we've transferred 38 million over. Do we have that other 10 million in cash or in reserves?
Mr. General Manager.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. No, we don't have it in cash, but as with our long-term financial plan and the way payments and revenue works, it's not a stagnant figure that you have the money just sitting there waiting. It's money that comes in and then goes out. It's the same as when you're operating a business. You don't have your full year's worth of expenditure sitting there at the start of the year, but it goes in cyclical fashion. So as that grant money comes in for those larger projects, we will have the money. It's all built into the long-term financial plan. There's no liquidity risk to council.
So we're now waiting. We're hoping that we get 48 million in this particular year. Oh, well, sorry, we're hoping we get the extra in this particular year, and we're talking about $20 million. Roughly $20 million.
I think.
And you said it's guaranteed.
Mr. General Manager, did you say it's like a cash flow that comes in with rates and grants. Is
Yeah,
that what you-
I understand that, Madam
Okay.
Mayor, but I'm
Okay.
asking,
So you're
I'm asking-
speaking, you're moving to speak against, or do you have another
no,
question?
no, I'm just asking for clarification. Do we have the money or don't we? And the fact that it's not proven causes me concern. And personally, I'm not an accountant, and thank God I'm not. But I don't see how you can budget to spend money that you haven't, that's not proven. That's all I really need to
Okay,
say.
thank
And I mean,
you.
we were told similar things last year. Didn't come to being. We transferred a lot, transferred 38 million from last financial year to this year. So it's never ending. And it's not what was in the past. It's been criticised for only 2 or 3 million. I can't understand that now it's okay to transfer or to carry over 38 million.
Thank you, councillor. If there's no debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, councillor Brown, councillor Clark, councillor Cool, councillor Kennedy, councillor Nolan, it's a unanimous vote. Thank you, councillors. Move to item 4, Broken Hill City Council report number 172/21, the investment report for September, page 56. Do I have a mover? Moved by councillor Nolan, seconder, councillor Gallagher. Councillor Nolan, do you want to speak to the motion? Thank you, councillor Nolan. Is there any speakers against?
I have a question too, or
I'll
comment.
go to councillor Kennedy first. Councillor Kennedy? Mr. General Manager?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, Councillor Kennedy, you're correct. The loans aren't, as you say, free. Obviously, there's the income and expenditure coming in. The investments are performing relatively well compared to what we would have ordinarily expected. But at the time when council took that loan out, and council didn't take the loan out as a borrowing to invest, it took out the money to ensure that it was invested in infrastructure, but there was no prediction of a worldwide pandemic at that stage.
You've frozen, councillor Kennedy. Oh, you moved. I think the General Manager did answer it. Thank you. Councillor Allgate.
Just-
And I think the General Manager explained about the COVID pandemic. What's the intent of the question? Sorry, what's the intent of the? Thank you, councillor. Councillor Allgate, you had a question?
Just a comment, Madam Mayor, if I may.
What, prefer a question?
The question, it's not a question, it's a comment, but I would like to say that I in some ways agree with the General Manager. The council has performed pretty well under the circumstances, but we still lost. If you look at page 62, if I'm reading it right, we lost $48,964 on investment income on page 62. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we've suffered losses. And like Councillor Kennedy said, with the previous General Manager, when we borrowed the first 10 million, the statement was made that it was free money. And at that time, we all wondered, well, I wondered why we didn't buy 100 million, borrow 100 million if it's free money. But there's no such thing as free money. We've done well, but we're still lost.
Thank you for the question. If there's no debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, Councillor Brown, Councillor Clark, Councillor Cool, Councillor Nolan, Councillor Page, Councillor Gallagher, Councillor Adams, Mayor Shelley, against Councillor Kennedy and Councillor Allgate. Thank you, councillors. Move to item 5, Broken Hill City Council report number 173/21, the minutes of the local traffic committee held on the 5th of October, page 69. Councillor Brown is moving that way. Yes. Seconder, Councillor Adams. Councillor Brown, do you want to speak to the motion?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay, and no debate. What's your question, councillor? Councillor Brown?
Yes, Madam Mayor. In fact, we have a site inspection scheduled for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Great. Councillor Brown?
Yes, I'll endeavour to do that. We might be able to have a look tomorrow, but it would be better, I think, if one of the users concerned or someone could send an email for the reference for the traffic committee, so we know exactly what you're talking about. We'll have a look at that.
Okay.
Yes, I think.
Councillor Brown?
Yes,
Do you know
Madam
which
Mayor.
medical-
Sorry, Councillor Kennedy, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if that's the item that I think you're referring to, that at the last meeting that was referred back to council because it was seen as not really, the traffic committee's happy with it if it satisfies the council's planning department. So there's no problem there. I would say that's already been dealt with.
Thank you, councillor. Thank you, Councillor Nolan. Did you have a question? Councillor Nolan, your green button's on. Did you have a question? Thank you. Okay, if there's no debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? It's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, councillors. We'll move to item 6, Broken Hill City Council report numbers 174/21 dated September the 9th. It's the action list. Councillors, can I have a mover? Moved by councillor Page, second by councillor Gallagher. Do you want to speak to the motion, councillor Page? Is there any debate? There's no debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Just wait to see. It's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much, councillors. Move to item 12. It's the committee's reports. Item 1. You're moving 1 and 2. Moved by councillor Adams, second by councillor Clark. If there's no debate, I'll put those motions. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move to the item 1 of the supplementary report. Do I have a
Move that
mover
way.
for this?
Move
Moved by
that way.
councillor Gallagher. Seconder, councillor Clark. Councillor Gallagher, do you want to speak to the report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Looking at the report, noting on page 82, the auditor's opinion was very professional output in relation to it. Speaking of the Audit Risk Management Committee, they also agreed, and the only criticism that looking through it is that we're a little bit slow in relation to some of the reporting items, but that was just due to COVID working from home positions. But the situation is, must also commend the council, where the only 1 in 10 councils actually have presented our audit and submitted to the local government already. So I believe it's a very professional report, and I commend this report to council.
Thank you, councillor Gallagher. Is there any debate? No debate. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Councillor Brown, councillor Clark, councillor Cook, councillor Nolan, councillor Allgate, councillor Page, councillor Gallagher, councillor Mayor, the deputy mayor, myself. Against is, and did I say councillor Nolan? I did, didn't I? And against is councillor Allgate. Item 13, we move. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, councillor Kennedy moved. No, sorry.
Yeah.
Against
No,
is councillor Kennedy. Wasn't intentional, I promise. Questions taken on notice from previous council meeting, for which there is none. Questions for next meeting arising from items on the agenda. Is there any additional questions?
I just have,
What's your questions, councillor? And just go slow for Lisa to capture them. Yep, yes, councillor Kennedy, then I'll go to councillor Day. Yeah. Okay, what's the question though? Did you get that? I don't. Did you capture it, Lisa? No, can you, sorry, well, you broke up in the middle of it. Okay, thank you. Okay, did you have any other questions? Sorry, you're just breaking up, councillor Kennedy. Any other questions, councillor? Okay, councillor Allgate.
Question for the General Manager, Madam Mayor. Regarding the COVID-19 and the presentation of documentation proving that people are double dosed. I believe that the purpose has been fulfilled now, and as far as I'm concerned, given that in the legislation, it's pretty obvious that information is very private. But now that the people have given or displayed their information, and it served the purpose, that information should now be destroyed.
Okay, thank you for those questions, councillors. We'll
Madam
take
Mayor, I've
them
got a
on.
question
Did you
as
have a
well.
question, councillor LaCour?
Yeah, Madam Mayor. With all the footpath work that's been going on lately, great work to the council. People are still asking me, where can they find out where the next lot of footpath work is scheduled and where it'll be and when? And I think I remember asking this question before, and I think there was going to be a portal on the council website that would allow you to go in and check the schedule. I'm just wondering if that's still happening or what's the progress?
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? No? Okay, thank you for those questions, councillors. Move to item 15, confidential matter, for which there is none. I think this must be the first time in this term of council that we've had none for our meeting. Before I move to concluding the meeting, can I take the opportunity on behalf of the councillors to congratulate Hannah, Jay and Elkie on the birth of Gus Andrew, and give our best to Hannah, and we thank you for meeting your KPI of increasing the population of Broken Hill. So congratulations. Thank you, everyone. I'll close the meeting, and thank you for all attending, even Councillor Kennedy and Councillor Nolan online. Thank you, everyone.